Alright, AP Psychology students, welcome back to Liam's AP Psychology course. My name is Liam Kim, also known as Jinso Kim, a rising junior in high school. And I'm here to help you on your journey to get a 5 on the AP Psychology exam, and then to kindly explain to you all the key concepts that you need to know for AP Psychology. I'm from the NGO group called EduConnect, and I'm the co-leader of the NGO group called EduConnect. And we serve as a community level and an international level as well organization that seeks for non-profit distribution of our in-depth knowledges, seeking for attaining the UN SDG goal number 4, which is providing quality education for all. So now, to hop on that endeavor to make an environment for every people, regardless of their race, gender, or social class, to be provided with the opportunity to have quality education. Here we go. AP Psychology Unit 4 Module 28 is now going to start. Okay, so if you look here, today we're going to learn about Unit 4 learning. And today we're going to talk about Module 28, applications of operant conditioning. Okay, so B.F. Skinner was a psychologist that was mentioned in the previous video, and he was a behavioral psychologist, and he envisioned teaching machines that provided correct stimuli for desired learning outcomes. Now this is kind of a reality now. There's electronic quizzes and programs that give immediate feedback. Now in sports, some examples of operant conditioning, which was explained in the previous video, is that in sports, it's important to reward small success and gradually increase the challenge. And golf players start with small putts, and basketball players start with simple dribbling, and so on. And accidental timing can lead to superstitious behavior. So this is the idea of having some superstitions, right? For example, before the test, let's say you ate a piece of candy that tasted lemon, and then you aced the test. Like you got an A+ on the test. Then you ate the lemon candy again on the next test, and then you got an A+ again. Then from now on, your superstition will lead you to eat lemon candies before every test you have, because you have had the desired outcome of having a really good grade that you could ever possibly get after eating the lemon candy, right? So that's why the routine, the superstition of eating lemon candy will be created. Your muscles will learn that kind of outcome, that kind of input and outcome, and then your body will adopt it in order to seek for the maximum kind of setup, have the setup that would bring out the maximum outcome possibly and potentially, that you will be ready for your test, like in this example. Okay, so people think that certain irrelevant factors can have an effect when they probably don't. For instance, you may think that you do badly in a game every time there's an odd number of players on your team, or something equally unrelated. Okay, now let's look some cases at work. Managers can improve performance and desired behaviors by rewarding specific, achievable behaviors instead of vaguely defined merit. It's even better if the reinforcement is immediate. It doesn't even have to be a monetary award. It could be a simple compliment or congratulations. So, when you hear some kind of compliments given to you, then you feel really happy, right? You want to hear the compliment more next time. So this kind of desired outcome will lead you to do that action more, which led to the desired outcome previously. So you will repeat this action again and again because you want to hear more compliments, right? So this was another example of operant conditioning. Now let's look at the case at home. So parents can better educate their children with these ideas. They can affirm good behavior when others do it by saying, "That's so nice," which will make children realize that that behavior is desirable. They should also not give in to tantrums for undesirable behavior because that only reinforces tantrums. Now for self-improvement, state goal in measurable terms, announce it. Monitor how often you do this behavior, then reinforce the desired behavior. Now, you reduce the rewards gradually because if you remember, continuously reinforced behavior becomes extinct quickly. So you need to keep a balance between providing the incentive and the merit. You should decrease the level of awards or like the amplitude of the awards gradually, like not all at once in a whoosh, but gradually over time, because you want the kind of motivation to not die down, right? You want it to last. So you should make some modifications to the type of rewards and the size of the rewards as time goes by. If you want to keep a test subject to repeat their desired behavior that you want to see from them. Okay, so now let's look at biofeedback. Biofeedback is a system of recording, amplifying, and feeding back information about subtle physiological changes. By monitoring our physiological state, such as level of stress, heart rate, blood pressure, and etc., people can learn techniques to control for a particular physiological response. Maybe with this, you could figure out a way to calm yourself easily in times of stress. So this could be a really successful mechanism in real life as well if you want to cope with stress. Now, let's compare classical and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is when there is a respondent behavior, which is an automatic behavior to a stimulus. Now let's look at operant conditioning. An operant behavior is present, which is a behavior that produces consequences. So, to teach new behavior, we use shaping and operant conditioning. New behavior cannot be learned through classical conditioning because respondent behavior is a natural response, which is not learned. Okay, so let's now take a look at this table. Comparison of classical and operant conditioning. So the basic idea of classical conditioning is that an organism associates events. But in the case of operant conditioning, an organism associates behavior and resulting events. Now in classical conditioning, the response to this basic idea is that classical conditioning is usually involuntary and automatic. However, the response to operant conditioning is that it is voluntary and it operates on an environment. Now the acquisition for classical conditioning is that it's about associating events. The neutral stimulus is paired with the unconditioned stimulus and becomes the classically conditioned stimulus, right? Now in the acquisition for operant conditioning, it is about associating a response with a consequence, either it be a reinforcer or a punisher. Now, an extinction in classical conditioning can describe how the conditioned response decreases when the conditioned stimulus is repeatedly presented alone. Now, the extinction in operant conditioning is when responding decreases when reinforcement stops. Some spontaneous recovery kind of results in classical conditioning could be the reappearance after a rest period of an extinguished classically conditioned response. A spontaneous recovery in operant conditioning will be the reappearance after a rest period of an extinguished response. Now, the generalization aspects of classical conditioning is that there is a tendency to respond to stimuli similar to the classically conditioned stimulus. Now, the generalization to the operant conditioning phenomenon could be an organism's response to a similar stimuli is also reinforced. Discrimination, finally, for classical conditioning is when the learned ability to distinguish between classically conditioned stimulus and other stimuli that do not signal in unconditioned stimulus. Discrimination for operant conditioning is when an organism learns that certain responses, but not others, will be reinforced. Alright folks, this is the end of Module 28 of Unit 4, and this was Part 3 of Liam's AP Psychology Unit 4 video, and we'll come back to you later with Module 29 of Unit 4 Learning, which is about biology, cognition, and learning in the next video. See you next time folks, goodbye. Good luck on your AP Psychology endeavor.